Guys, welcome back to another video. So over the weekend, there was a lot of chat about Starfield and how big this game is for Xbox. And this article here from Destin Gary saying that it is the last chance at redemption for Xbox, or at least feels like that. Then there was the other side of things where you had Xbox Era coming out and saying that basically they don't believe, or at least John Clark here in his opinion piece doesn't believe, that Starfield, even if it was the best game ever, it isn't going to change how the industry talks about Xbox. That was the big topic of discussion over the weekend. And it's a very interesting thing to think about it. As we're going forward into the June 11th showcase, there is a Starfield Direct there that's going to be massive for how people start thinking about this game, how they start getting hyped up for this game. How is it improved since the last time we did see the gameplay trailer? When they first showed off that original Starfield gameplay trailer, I was excited. Like, I thought the game looked awesome. There are some things there that could be improved. For example, the enemies, when they were getting shot at, didn't react right away. And I'm assuming that is something that was just needing polish, and that's going to be fixed up as we see more gameplay of it and by the time that the game comes out. But the overall scope of this game, it just seems like you could get lost in it forever, just like you could with Skyrim, but this time it's in space, which has me just extremely excited. So Starfield is a massive game for Xbox, but the media right now is painting it as Xbox's last chance at redemption. And to me, it's already slanting towards them looking at this game from a negative perspective. And the reason I say that is because we've seen what's been happening in the AAA games industry over the last number of years, over the last number of releases. Most games these days are releasing with bugs. They aren't releasing in a perfect condition. But one thing that isn't happening is the media isn't treating all games equal when it comes to the technical bugs and how well they actually do perform. And that, I think, is the big question that a lot of Xbox fans are going to be having going into the release of Starfield. And this article here is kind of painting that picture of the media bias, and that Starfield isn't going to get a fair shake. Xbox isn't going to get a fair shake no matter how good Starfield is. We take a look even at the most recent major game that was released. I'm playing it right now. It's absolutely incredible. And that's Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. It's 30 FPS. It drops below 30 FPS. There's stuttering. There are technical issues with this game, but it got perfect scores across the board. You look at Jedi Survivor, has tons of technical issues at launch, and it wasn't really reflected in a lot of the review scores. You had Redfall, which had a ton of technical issues as well, and there was a lot more spotlight on the technical issues for this game. Now, Redfall definitely deserved the negativity and the criticism for the issues with it, but was there more spotlight on the technical issues for Redfall because it was an Xbox first-party game? That's the question that I think a lot of people are asking, and that's kind of what this article here is pointing out. And what they're saying in this article on Xbox Era is the fact that the majority of the media sites out there, they request codes for PlayStation to review these games, meaning that their bias, their preference to play these games are on PlayStation. So they're looking at the reviews, they're looking at when they're playing the games and their thought process for how they think about these games. The lens that they're looking at it through is through the PlayStation lens. And they mention here, yes, Xbox Era looks at things through the Xbox lens, but they obviously know that that's part of this website. They mentioned that, they talk about that, and they are worried, or I guess they're concerned going forward, is that the media, no matter what happens, no matter what Xbox does, they're going to continue to look at Xbox in a negative light and write a ton of negativity articles. Since the release of Redfall, it's been pretty crazy. It's been pretty ridiculous, in my opinion. I get people who are upset with the game. I understand that. My take on the game was there are issues. It was released in an unfinished state. It seemed like pretty much unacceptable the way that they did release it, but there was definitely fun to be had in that game. Like, I've had fun with it. I'm still playing it. There are people out there that are having fun with it. And it was almost like the entire gaming community, the Xbox community as well, and the gaming media were saying that you weren't allowed to have fun with this game. And anybody who was essentially just lying or had low standards and stuff like that, which I think is absolutely absurd. There are tons of games that get bad reviews, that have issues that you can have a lot of fun with. And that's just the beauty of gaming. That's the beauty of the art, that not everything is going to be perfect and you can still find enjoyment out of it, which I think is a good trait to have rather than just looking at the pixels of every little thing in the frame rates and all of that type of stuff. So Starfield, when it does come out, it'll be very interesting to see how the media does handle it. I will say this about Starfield. What I'm expecting from Starfield is an immersive, big Bethesda RPG that keeps me always wanting to explore, wanting to see what comes next. I don't expect this game to release in a perfect state. Most Bethesda games don't. And I feel like because of the chatter that's been going on recently around the video game industry, Starfield is going to get dinged harder with that in mind, even if the game, everything else besides technical issues, is amazing. And I feel like that will be an unfair thing because gaming media hasn't developed a standard on how they treat games when it comes to technical issues. Like I said, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is an absolutely incredible game. It's going to be one of my favorite games, I think, of all time when I'm done playing it. I love Zelda. It's one of my favorite franchises. But to be completely fair, I know it's running on the Nintendo Switch. I know it's on a platform that isn't advertised to run at 60 FPS, 4K, or anything like that. But it's at 30 FPS and it dips frames, and nobody talks about this type of stuff in these reviews. And the reason they don't talk about this type of stuff in the reviews is because it is an incredible video game from a gameplay perspective. And that's what I think is going to be with Starfield, but we'll wait and see if it gets treated the same way. If it does release, it's an amazing game, but it has technical issues. If it gets treated the same way as games like The Legend of Zelda get treated. Now, Destin put out this article. It caused a lot of backlash. Obviously, people were going at him, saying that he was just doing it for the media thing and the negativity towards Xbox and how it gets clicks. One thing I will say, I read through this article. It's nothing really earth-shattering. He's essentially just saying that Xbox needs to start delivering the games. He lists a bunch of PlayStation games, says that they need to deliver a game that can be the answer to God of War Ragnarok, and then The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. And one thing I will say with this part of the article is that I don't believe comparing God of War Ragnarok to Starfield is a good comparison whatsoever. And I think that Starfield and Tears of the Kingdom are in a completely different level than God of War Ragnarok. You have two games that are mainly focused on gameplay, that are focused on a game that you can explore and just kind of do whatever you want and spend hours, months, years in, versus a game that is a one and done experience, that is a very cinematic experience, and the gameplay part of God of War Ragnarok is not nearly as deep as something like a Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. And if you're asking me what game I would take any day of the week, it would be the Zeldas and the Starfields over the God of War Ragnaroks. Although I did enjoy God of War Ragnarok, I just don't think it is a fair comparison. And you will start to see that comparison when Starfield comes out. You'll see the fanboys going back and forth showing stuff from God of War and saying, oh, this is this great next generation game for Starfield, which will be completely disingenuous and bad faith takes when you're looking at the size and scopes of these two different games. So look out for what's going to happen with Starfield. It'll be interesting to see how the media plays it. If it is a great game and they dig at more technical issues, or do they not? Are they going to continue to overlook that type of stuff if the game overall is an absolute masterpiece like The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, like God of War Ragnarok, which is a great game, but there were definitely technical issues in that game. I even have a post on my Twitter where I just randomly fell through the world, but you didn't really see anybody talking about that type of stuff. So be interesting times to see, but I do agree at one thing when he talks about here that it doesn't really matter what Xbox does. It won't change how the industry talks about Xbox, because 2 years ago, Xbox won Metacritic Publisher of the Year. It set a record for the highest Metacritic overall score, and we're in 2023, and it's almost like that never happened. People already have forgotten about that, and they've gone back to the old narrative that they can't make games, which I think is crazy, especially when we are currently looking at a 2023 where Hi-Fi Rush to me is a Game of the Year contender. Redfall, of course, is a miss on a lot of people's list, but Forza Motorsport, you can pretty much bet that's going to be a very good game. Starfield, you can bet that's going to be a very good game. Xbox is going to have delivered 4 big first-party games in a single year, and the narrative still right now is extremely negative, which is crazy, and we'll see them switch right away if these games do hit. But then the next question you got to ask yourselves is, the next time Xbox makes a mistake, is the narrative going to change again? My hunch is yes, but we will have to wait and see. I will leave the video there, guys. Let me know what you think about all of this type of stuff. If you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up. If you're new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.